Hey everybody, JJ here, back again with a Wednesday of Zoom networking. We got a powerful call in store for you today. Our guest speaker today is honestly just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I've met him in person. We have met in person at one of the boot camps, right?
We did, yep.
Yeah, we've chatted on the phone, we've chatted on Zoom. Our guest speaker is one of the young rising rock stars in Sub 2, Pace Morby Sub 2 community. He's a leader by example. More importantly, he's a leader of character by heart. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Um, like the rest of us, he started as a student, has become an investor, now a successful entrepreneur. Is in the Owners Club. Um, his father, his husband, family man, and a businessman, and just a guy with a great heart that leads by example. I want to introduce our guest speaker, my good friend, Mr. Keola Keala. How are you, my friend?
I'm the excellent JJ. Thank you so much for having me out here. Before we get started into it, I just got to tell a quick story about you,
Sure.
right? You know, 2 years ago, I was brand new to anything real estate related, brand new to all communities. And when I first joined, Pace Morby's communities, I've heard this name. You got to connect with JJ, Azizian. You got to connect with him, got to connect. And so one day I was like, oh, I'm nobody, but, everybody's talking about this guy, JJ. I'm gonna just send him a friend request, and he immediately responded. Immediately sent me a message saying, "Hey, jump on my website, register, and let's connect more."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, I thought it was automated. Sure, I'll do all these things." So I jumped on, registered, and then within 5 minutes, right, it was about 6 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time. I was just working out, typing this in. My phone rang, and I was like, "Who is this calling me?" And I was like, "All right, this early, I should answer it." I picked up the phone, guys, and it was JJ. Like I had literally registered, and 5 minutes later, he was already calling me up on the phone to connect. And you know, it just changed my whole perspective of him first and foremost, and secondly, the impact that quick connection makes. And I've
Yeah.
never forgotten that, JJ. I just want to share that because if you haven't already registered, if you haven't already connected with JJ, that's what you're going to get with this fine young man.
Thank you so much. And I don't have any automation. I don't have bots. I do have a VA, but if you're getting a text, unless it's about my Zoom call, that text comes from my CRM. You're getting a text from me. I want to connect with you guys as soon as possible because, when you're building your network, when you're building relationships, you need to see as quickly as possible. Does the person that you're interacting with resonate with you? Do you truly even want to have them on your friends list? And more importantly, you want to be able to project yourself, connect with them, to give them the opportunity for you to resonate with them. This is what it's all about. If you want to work with a buyer or a seller, you may not come with the best price, but if you resonate with that buyer or seller, you get the deal. So it's about presentation, it's about personality, it's about communication. Real estate's about relationships.
What impressed me even more, JJ, is now that I know a little bit more about you, is the fact that you took time out of your day while you were attending a Dodgers game. So if you guys don't know, JJ's a huge LA fan all across the board, but for him to give me a call while he was at a game at an event, most people would just pass by. We're like, oh, I'll call him later, I'll call him the next day. But not JJ. That's how important he views networking and connecting. So I just want to say thank you for that. That really helped ease me into the community in so many ways.
No, I appreciate it and appreciate you. There's nothing more important than relationships. And um, you need to reach out to people as quickly as possible because what's really important is to see who you resonate with because might as well find out right away. Do I resonate or not resonate? I've gotten phones from people, I'm like, never again. We're obviously not gonna mesh. And you know what, guys, we're not gonna gel with everybody. Whether you're Grant Cardone, whether you're Tony Robbins, Pace Morby, or JJ Azizian, we're not gonna resonate with everybody. And that's okay. But there's no sense in wasting time with people you don't resonate with. In my opinion, no sense in even having them on your friends list because you want to have people that you're really going to do business with. Um, Keola, gosh, you're so impressive in many ways. Um, for those that don't know you, and I know this answer, but Where in the country are you located? Where are you based? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I am currently in Utah, in the Rocky Mountains. I bounce between Utah and Hawaii a couple times a year. I'm originally from Hawaii, born and raised, small island on Maui.
So your topic today is going to be from fitness executive to real estate investing.
Yeah.
And we had to talk about this. I'm a big fitness guy. I've been a big fitness guy for most of my life, if except the point before I could walk. But that's a busy career. So, for you growing up as a young man from your teens and your 20s and you had a career as a fitness executive, uh during those times from your teens, 20s into your career, was real estate on the landscape for you? Um, was mom an agent? Was dad a contractor? Was something you were aware of? And if not, again, what were you doing in your teens before you got into the fitness scene?
Yeah, great question. So first off, I was raised in a very humble home on the islands, right? Like very humble beginnings. Both of my parents were in the education system. My mom was a teacher. My father was an administrator and a coach. So for them, education was key. That they didn't really talk about real estate, and even in our culture, we don't really talk about finances that much.
Hmm.
It's pretty much like old school mentality. You talk when spoken to, in many ways, and you just do your chores, do the jobs that's been asked around you, respect your elders, and go get an education, live your life, right? That's kind of how I was raised.
So,
And so just to that point, right? Like real estate was never a part of it.
yeah.
No one ever talked to me about mortgages. Nobody talked to me about how to own property or anything at all. And so going through high school, going to college, that was never even part of my vocabulary.
Okay. And what college did you go to? Just out of curiosity.
Brigham Young University, Hawaii.
A hot dog. Very, very good institution. What did
Yeah.
you study there?
Believe it or not, exercise science.
Awesome. Awesome. Then I have to ask, growing up in Hawaii, I don't know if the right word's a stereotype or not, but did you grow up surfing? Was that something you guys did, you and your friends?
We did. It's so funny, JJ. I had all these offers to go to a lot of different colleges right across America, big name schools, and I thought to myself, why would I ever leave the island? Like, why would I ever want to go live in the mainland and get away
Yeah.
from the ocean and from surfing?
Why would you want to leave paradise, right?
Yeah.
So after college, did you get right into into the fitness industry?
Yeah, so I actually dove into the fitness industry in college. I started doing personal training, started doing working with sports teams and athletics, and kind of just kind of followed that path, right? I studied it. I was formally educated on it, and just looked at opportunities in the fitness space, like so many others, right? Just kind of went right to work right after college.
Man, you're talking my friggin' language. In high school, I trained for the U.S. Olympic boxing team. And as a senior, the U.S. Olympic Committee decided to boycott the Moscow Olympics, so my dream went away. And then my friends and I started training for the Navy SEALs. And I'm still best friends today with my friend that became a Navy SEAL. A week before high school graduation, I got accepted to USC. I went to USC. Not sure what I wanted to do. But after my second year, I heard about a program called Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy out of School of Physical Education, and that's what I wanted to do, was work with athletes, become a trainer, work with young men, young women, and coach mindset and coach a healthy body. So to hear that you did that for me is I'm very envious. I actually after my second year when I wanted to do that went and told my mom and dad, this is what I want to do the last 2 years, my academic career. My dad said, that's great. He said, but if you want to go to you want to how do you say this? If you want to take PE and play with the football team, you can go to junior college. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm not leaving USC. So I fell back on on the business school and got my business degree.
Interesting enough, one of the reasons why I came to Utah was, I just graduated. I was looking at furthering my career, education, And at that time, it was right before the Olympics, right? The Winter Olympics came to
Hmm.
Utah. And so at that time, there's a program that was offered in Utah that was sports rehab related, a specialty there. And I decided to, like, all right, let me move to Utah. That, and I had a brother living here. He was in the process of moving his family back, so I came to Utah to help him move back and get educated. I dove into sports rehab, dove into sports massage therapy, and started working and just kind of getting involved in that. In that process, uh, I was able to work with a lot of the Olympic athletes
How
that were training for the
cool.
Winter Olympics. And so just really dove in there. I started taking some hours at a local college to help also train with the athletes
I
and do
love
their
that.
sports medicine program, taping, athletic training, did all of that. So really got involved. And this was before I really dove into the gym industry, right? Right. I was still kind of heavily involved in education, heavily involved in sports rehab and massage therapy. And then, like a young kid, active and playing around and in a, community league, I tore my Achilles. And so here I was kind of like, all right, I can't really do athletic training or sports rehab anymore. Now I got to go get rehab on myself. What can I do? And then at that time, I had a friend who was a manager of a gym, just a small gym here in Utah. At that time, there were two locations. And so I was like, hey, buddy, is there a job I can put my foot up, rehab, do part time? And, I was single at the time and, meet girls. He's like, yeah, you can work the graveyard shift, checking people in at my gym. And so that was my first entry into the fitness space, right?
Wow.
And that was 25 years ago.
So now you had a
And
pretty long career there, is that correct?
I did, yeah, very long career there.
So let me ask you, I mean, obviously, as you got into management, you became an executive, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with business. How did you make that transition into real estate?
Yeah, good question. So it was a couple different things, right? When I was in the fitness industry, I worked every single position from graveyard shift, rear racking weights, cleaning the club. I wanted to learn it all and get involved in every single piece of the business so I could understand people's perspective and
Hmm.
also manage. And what got me into the real estate space was a little bit of that. I rose through the ranks, right? I was in this company for 24 years, 22 years. When I joined, I said we started off with two locations, and by the time I exited the company, we had 55 locations through eight
Wow.
states,
Wow.
right? And so here I was, rising up through the ranks, great opportunities from people, learning a lot from a lot of mentors in the space, but helping this company grow. And as you mentioned, when you're in the fitness space, it is a long, grueling hours, right?
Hmm.
And when you're growing and scaling a business and truly corporatizing an organization, I was traveling and I was on the road every other week, basically flying 3, 5 days away from home and just gone. And what got me into this space was, I had done very well in the fitness space, was able to be a part owner and get some shares in the organization. And there was a time in the company where we were going through suitors to sell the business. And we had an opportunity to, well, I had an opportunity to prepare an exit package and pull my shares out. And the reason why I did that, Rob, it goes back to, over the years I've learned a lot, but I live my life by three F's: faith, family, and food. Not always in that order, depends on what's in front of me. But faith, family, and food is how I like to live my life. And at that time, my wife tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, can you believe that our oldest son is going to be a senior next year?
Wow.
And so we have three
And
boys.
and that happened like overnight, right?
Oh, literally,
Yeah.
and literally overnight because I was away every other week, gone, right? And so here he was. We are just ending his junior year. We're going into spring, going into summer, right? School had just wrapped up, and my wife says, "Our son's got one more year with us, and you've missed his life. Something's got to change."
Yeah.
And it hit me. I was like, "All right, if I say I'm about faith, family, and food, what am I doing?" And she literally said, hey, we need to have a family council. We need to sit down. We need to talk about this. And we need to really understand where your priorities are at because in a year from now, he's going to be gone and off to the world. And so we had this long conversation as a family, and we decided, thanks to encouragement from my wife, that things had to change. And so I submitted an exit package to my company. I They accepted it after a few negotiations, and I left. It was at May of 23. I had exited my company.
Well, so pretty recently now.
Recent, yeah,
Oh, wow.
recent. So
Wow.
2 years ago.
So let me ask you, I mean, I know you're from Sub 2. We met through the Sub 2 community. Was Pace your first foray into real estate, or was something before like Bigger Pockets or something like that? What was your what
Yeah.
was it
I
Bigger
didn't I
Pockets
didn't
or
know
did
any
you
of those things, right? Like
okay.
here I was just I was all fitness, just fitness focused. That was my whole life. People knew me as the gym guy. Every place I went, people recognized me as the guy in the gym because I was the face of our company. But that's what I did, right? I lived, breathed, and slept fitness and building company. And
Wow.
so when I exited, I really had this time like, okay, I need to decide what I want to do and something that's going to give me the ability to be present and still support my family. And as I took this time to just kind of understand what was needed for our family, a friend of mine sent me a video of Pace Morby. He
Hmm.
says, "Hey, you need to check this out. And he's coming to Utah. We should go together." I was like, "Well, who is this guy? Like, I've never heard of him." And like so many others, right? So many others in the group, from the first video, I was like a bug to the light, just mesmerized, just caught, and I was just drinking the Kool-Aid. And that was my first introduction to real estate, was watching Pace Morby and his videos. And at that time, I felt that the easiest transition for me that really excited me was to get into his Gator community and see about private money lending. And so that, JJ, was my first introduction into real estate, was watching Pace, joining his Gator community, and kind of going from there.
So you've been in Sub 2 for a while and you've had a chance to meet Pace, obviously.
Yeah, multiple times. So just to clarify, I'm only in the Gator community. I'm not a part of Sub 2
Okay.
yet.
Well,
Yet. That's the next
I use that
progression.
term generically.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like, uh
All encompassing.
yeah, Kleenex, facial tissue, Xerox,
Yeah,
photocopy. Pace and Sub 2 community really is Gator, Top Tier TC, Owners Club, and by the time we start, and he's got new things coming up all the time. So
yep,
I just kind of generically throw that as an umbrella. But I'm glad you're in the community. I think, not think I know that you're leading by example. I know you're a community leader and you've now jumped into Owners Club. And we had a question here. Let me bring somebody on. Mr. Calvert Ackland, my friend, you are on with Keola Keala. I love that name.
Cal, good to see you.
Love it. Good to see you, brother. So before I ask you a question, Keala, JJ, JJ. Southpaw or Orthodox? I did not know you were a boxer. Southpaw or Orthodox?
You know what's crazy is I'm naturally a right-hander, right? So I've got a left jab and I got a right cross. My right cross is pretty devastating. But for me, I really learned,
Orthodox.
I think it was more growing up. I was a fan of Joe Frazier.
Okay.
I was gonna say
Big Joe.
I admired Muhammad Ali, but when it came to the two, what I like about Joe Frazier is he was an older version of the guy that became my favorite boxer of all time, who's Mike Tyson. And so my thing is to be able to throw a left that's just gonna lay somebody out. And I was a kid that got picked on and bullied, so for many years, I wasn't 6'6". I was, 5'9", 5'8" and a half, 5'9". When I learned how to box, it became a tool for me. I'll make this really quick. I had to train to be good, and I would have qualified for the Olympic boxing team. As you train, and Killer knows this, as you train, it develops self-confidence because you see yourself hitting plateaus you never thought you could reach. One, you need self-discipline to hit those plateaus. So you find yourself implementing discipline to hit plateaus that you never thought you could reach. And as you hit those plateaus, you now have the confidence you can go even further. And as you get that self-confidence, you now realize you can take on it on anything, and then you get that self-respect. So boxing for me was just a vehicle that allowed me to put some of the structure of my life together because my dad wasn't involved in my life. He was a financial provider, but I had no mentorship, I had no role model, I had no guidance, I had no instruction. And I was fortunate to not, I mean, God, a third of the guys I grew up with in school are either dead or in prison.
Mm.
And, it was a miracle that I even went to college, much less got out. Um, but I think, sports for me has always been a huge thing, which is why I wanted to get into sports medicine, physical therapy, and I wasn't really fast and I wasn't really, long limbs. So for me, here I come, like a buzzsaw through a side of beef. And I was kind of bummed when we didn't make when the Olympics didn't happen, but God has a plan, and you never know what his plan is. You just have to have faith and put one foot in front of the other and just constantly be the best person you can be. So, yeah, orthodox, right-handed. My right
Cal,
cross was lights out.
Calvin, I have my 18-year-old son I'm talking about that just graduated high school.
Hmm.
He's a boxer. He's got 7 amateur fights under his belt right now, and
Okay.
he's a southpaw.
Okay.
You know, like
Yeah, I like the southpaw. I'm orthodox, but I'm sneaky. So
every father has every father has this thought like, oh, I can take my son, right? I can take my kid, right? But the other night I was watching my son spar with older guys, right? Like he's one of the younger guys in his gym, and he's sparring with guys that are in their late 20s, 30s, and he's holding his own. And for
Mhm.
a second I thought to myself, ooh, I don't know if I can take him anymore. I, I don't think I
Right.
can, right? So he comes walking out, he sees his face that I'm making. He's like, you want to step into the ring, Dad? I was like, ring, boy, we don't need no ring. It'll be a street brawl. I'll poke your ass, chop your throat. You know, no holds barred, no referee in this one. Because if I
Right.
Yeah,
step in that ring, he'll drop me for sure.
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. I always tell my son who's about 6'2", I said, you know what? You got knees. So my question to you, I know you mentioned family. It's kind of interesting because I think you and I have similar backgrounds, but we're from different parts of the country. My mom was an English teacher. My dad was a United Methodist minister. So I grew up in the faith. I grew up in the school. I was one of those kids that when school was out, I was at my mom's class, sitting in the back of her school, even if it was high school, middle school, and I was in elementary school. I was that guy, that kid sitting there with the paper writing notes. But my question to you is like, what is important to you as a leader in this community? What is important to you in a leader?
Great
Good
question. You
question.
know, yeah, good question, Calvert. You, for me, I would say is one that leads by example, right? Like, and an all around example. Like, there's so many people that I know that are, great in one thing, but not. I want to see an all around leader, right? Somebody that doesn't wear multiple hats. Like, there's a phrase a lot of people think like, oh, I got to put on this hat for this job. I got to put on this hat for here. I got to put on this hat for there. And really, to me, a leader is the person who ultimately only wears one hat. And what I mean by that is that, Calvert, if you can go home at night and tell your son that you've been the best father you could be, then in the business world, living your life that way is wearing one hat, right? Every decision you make can still make you a proud dad. The way you treat people makes you a proud father, right? The way you want your son to
Mhm.
treat others. Wearing one hat to me is being a great leader.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Because I find that if you're like trying to juggle so many hats, you're a different person in different roles, different scenarios. I get it, right? I understand that mentality. But as you continue to evolve yourself and as you continue to grow and learn who you truly are, your authentic self, that becomes one person in any scenario.
Absolutely. I get it.
Kill if if I could jump in on that, I agree with you 1,000%. I think the one thing I'm always talking about, guys, is relationships. And that means being consistent in how you present yourself and not being different from one mode to the next, but always being the same. Uh, building the relationship first. And that means leading with your heart, seeking friendship, which means giving your friendship and being genuine. And as we do that as real estate investors, we can't go wrong. It's when people start lying, the old saying is now you have to keep your lies straight.
Yeah.
What do you say to this person? What do you say to that person? Obviously, we always want to tell the truth. But I think more importantly, we want to be the best person we can be to everybody and be kind, be nice, lead with value, um, build a relationship, and to really impact others, it means to be as visible as we can and to help the others along the way without asking anything of ourselves. And it just ties so much into what you just said, Keelan. I just wanted to throw that in because I felt it applied and just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there.
No, I love it, JJ. And just to kind of, I've always lived my life this way, and this is how I kind of want to raise my kids, is I always want them to think about first and foremost, how can I help? Right? One that helps first, right? We hear it as a go-giver mentality.
Yeah.
But if you're always seeking to help someone else on their journey, whether you are the leader or not, you're always going to be in the right. Right. And there's a book by John Maxwell. Kevin knows this book well. It's called The 360-Degree Leader. Right. And what that means is that you don't have to have a title to be viewed as a leader or have influence. In fact, when you're a natural leader, people look to you, whether you hold a title or not, they're going to follow your lead. And so to be that type of person by being true to who you are and trying to help others in any situation, whether it's real estate or life, then you'll be regarded as a leader, title or no title.
I want to say one more thing. The faith
Sure.
of what you mentioned is, I think, the key aspect to having that strong foundation. Because I believe in faith, family, fitness, and fun. Those are some of the mantras that I follow. I teach Taekwondo, so
Nice.
I teach the kids to also have a little bit of resiliency, and tenacity, and so yeah, I love it, love it.
Love it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Calvin, you bet. For me, like I said, faith, family, and food. Food in my culture, right? Food is a way to connect.
Yeah.
Right? Like when we get together, like I'm Polynesian, right? When we get together, we eat. Right? You gotta like you don't invite me to your house and don't give me something to eat, man. We're gonna be eating. But that food is only a representation or a placeholder on the fact that we're gonna sit down and we're gonna connect. We're gonna
Yep,
talk, we're gonna get to know each other, we're gonna spend time together. So for me, that's where food lands.
yep. So, but that one more question. You talk about food. You're making me hungry. I got my lemon. I got my Greek lemon chicken and potatoes downstairs cooking because I'm the Chef Boyardee in the family. So, what's your favorite dish?
Oh my goodness. I gotta tell you,
Uh-oh.
it's ahi tuna.
All right. All right.
Yeah. And let me be real with everybody. I only work out so I can eat. I am not I'm not a big like nutritionist fan, right? Like I work out to eat, right? How hard my workout is in the morning will allow me to know how much I can eat for the day.
I understand.
There you go. All right, Calvert, did we get your question answered?
You did. I really do love it. Thank you, guys. I got to run. I got another meeting. I'm running at 7, so I really appreciate the time, JJ. I will catch you on the flip.
Hey,
Good
we
to see you, Calvin.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hey, brother, how are you, Keola?
Mr.
Doing
J.
excellent,
Mora.
man. Excellent.
Hey, man, I love what you just said. Most people, the majority of people, they want to be interesting. They want to post content that's look at me, this is what I can do. Everybody can do the same features and benefits. The difference is here, you said the go-giver mentality. That's the difference between being interesting versus interested. So most people confuse that. If you're more interested in someone else's success, you by default become the most interesting person in the room. So I really appreciate just what you said, man. It was more of a comment than a question, man. I love what you're doing, brother.
Well, I love that. First off, Jay, thank you for being on here, man. You're such a busy guy. You got so many things going on in your life to be jumping on like this and showing your face. Really appreciate you being here. And secondly, just to have you reiterate those points just really confirms it to everybody out there.
Yeah, I love that, man. Thanks, brother.
Jay, thank you
And
so
good luck
much.
with your daughter off to college, man.
Crazy, right? Time flies.
We'll pray for her. We'll pray for you. We'll pray for you.
There you go. Yeah. Jay, good to see you as always, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Howard Son, you're on with Keola Keala. What's your question?
Well, not that much specific, just want to say hi. We just connected since last week. We had an appointment, I think tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, Howard. I booked it on your calendar.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm outside, with my daughter football camp. So just say hi, and we might talk about more tomorrow afternoon.
Perfect. Can't wait to learn more about you and your journey.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, thank you.
You know, Keola, one of the best parts about what I do is the people I meet, and more importantly, providing a platform where people can connect with others. And then to find out, like right now, Howard's been on my calls regularly for months now, and that when you were on recently, that you guys connected, and that makes me feel good that I can provide a platform. Because I say it all the time, the best parts of relationships. When I was a kid, I stuttered horribly as a little kid, and I was shy, and I didn't want to talk to people, and as a result, you don't get included in things, and you get overlooked and left out, and getting this real estate game, I don't want anybody else to feel that way. And I found that a lot of people that we pay for these education programs, a lot of people don't know how to use Facebook. Well, if you don't know how to use Facebook, you cannot squeeze the juice from the orange, and the value of the groups of the people and building those relationships. Carl Johnson, you are on with Mr. Keola Keala. What's your question?
Thank you. So you were saying that for a long time you were the face of the previous business. How did your branding help you in your new life that you started 2 years ago?
Good. So a good question. It was actually very different for me, to be completely honest with you. When I meant face for my company in our industry, I was a face that took all meetings, ran all leadership trainings, and so for all of our employees, I was that connection to our executive board, right? And so I was that person. In regards to the community, in regards to the gym industry itself, I was a huge proponent of never being in office. So I worked at every single gym. I was at the front desk. I was supporting the managers. I was supporting the owners. I was mopping. I was sweeping. In fact, we opened up this club in Indiana, and I'm in the bathroom, sweeping and mopping the bathroom up. And this brand new club, right? 50,000 square foot, beautiful facility. This gentleman comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, I've got a complaint for the manager about this gym." It's like, "Oh my gosh, sir, really? Brand new gym? What complaint could you have?" Like, "Well, I want to talk to the manager." It's like, "No problem. Let me go get the manager." Right? So here I am, an executive, right, mopping the bathroom. I was like, "Let me go get the manager." So I walk to the front, I go get the manager, introduce them, and I say, "He has a complaint for you about this brand new, beautiful facility." And he starts complaining. And the manager, brand new, didn't know what to do. Right? He's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to handle this." Because and the member could see that he was getting lost in the conversation. So the member says, "Let me talk to somebody who's in charge." He goes, "Well, good thing you said that. Talk to this guy right here. He's in charge." And the member's like, you're the janitor." It's like, "Well, I am the janitor, but I'm also an executive here. Like in our organization, we believe in doing all things. Right? How can I help?"
Yeah.
Right. And so that was the face I was to our company there. Transitioning that over to fitness, transitioning that over to real estate, with branding, I just wanted to be that person to represent my own brand, right? Because you are your brand, as
Mhm.
JJ has mentioned. And so for you, how you show up on marketing yourself, you just want to be true to you. Like I would say, don't try and market something that you don't believe in, or don't try to be the person that you wouldn't follow yourself, right? Like you don't need to be somebody else. Like no matter how much I try, I'm not going to be JJ, right? Now I can try to get better and learn from him, those skill sets, but you want to be true to yourself, right, Carell? And so when you brand yourself, when you showcase your business, realize that people that resonate with you are going to resonate with you because of who you are, not because of who I am or who JJ is. Right? When I used to run a sales organization, I used to tell my sales reps that, we have 5 sales guys in our club. When one person walks in, the manager's role is to identify who would be the best salesperson for that individual in this moment. Right? Now, the gym is all the same, but the person that helps them on that journey, if connected right, will help them to sign up for a gym pass. The same thing with us in real estate. We may all be lenders. We may all be realtors. We may all be, investors or buyers, but who we connect with and who we resonate with will be each be different. And rather than trying to be everything to everyone, be you to the right crowd, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so if you can really be true to your vibe and resonate in your true frequency, those people will come to you. People on this call, right, that do the exact same thing that I do in real estate. Like I'm a transactional funder, right? So I fund transactional deals with EMD, double close, or Morby method deals. There's a lot of funders out there like that. And that's great, right? I support them. I want them to be successful. And that's okay because I have an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know that, there's a lot more business out there that are going to connect with me
Yeah.
that'll be different for them. And that's okay. And if they don't fit with me, I've actually had situations where I didn't resonate with them for one reason or another, but I did know that I wanted to help them. So let me refer them to somebody that can still do what we do and help them on their journey.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you, JJ. I'm out here. Marcel and I are both out here in San Diego, enjoying getting out of the heat of Phoenix a little bit and celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So it's nice to be out here in Southern Cal with you, JJ.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. And Keola, I love you, brother. Hey, I just had a couple of questions for you, and you kind of already stepped into it a little bit with that last thing. That was great. I love that abundance mentality. We have that as well. Like, you know what? There's more than enough deals out there for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just all encourage and lift each other up. We're not competing. We are collaborating, right,
Exactly.
JJ?
Yeah, very much so.
So my first question is, what is your main focus right now, Keola, in real estate? I know there's a lot of things you've done, and you've talked about your past, but like, where do you see yourself heading? Like, what's your main focus right now? And what are you like laser focused on?
Yeah, great question, Tim. And thanks for asking that. So since joining the community in Pace's community, I really came in swinging hard at private money lending. I did a ton of loans, ton of private money lending deals. I've coming up this September, I will be in real estate for coming in 2 years. And in the last 2 years, I've done just about 30 transactions total. But in the last 6 months, I've really pivoted my focus from just lending on short-term gap funds to really focus on transactional funding, right? And so right now, that is my main focus. That's where all my time, energy goes towards, and capital goes there to helping people who need those type of transactional funding.
Awesome. And then my follow-up question to that is, what would your ideal client look like?
Well, rather than, bald or a lot of hair or long hair or blue eyes, my ideal client would be investors who are looking to scale their business with acquisitions, and wholesalers. That's who I mainly work with, is wholesalers and investors who are looking to grow and scale their business.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Hey, and I'll see you around. We see each other quite often.
Yes, we do, Tim. Thanks for those questions.
All the time.
Thank you.
And appreciate you, brother. He's such a go-giver. You guys mentioned that earlier. Keola is a go-giver. Anytime I have a question about what we do, transactional funding as well, I know I can reach out to him, and he's willing to help us, partner with us, whatever it takes. He's already helped us with some of the questions and deals that we've had needed some help with. So if you have any questions, this man is super knowledgeable, and he's an awesome go-giver. So thank you, JJ, for having him on the show here, and thanks for letting me jump in. And I'm just enjoying the vibe out here in California for a couple more days.
There you go.
Thanks, Tim. Give our aloha to your wife.
I will do that. Yes.
See you, Tim. Thank you for joining us. Jay Mora, you are back again on with Mr. Keola Keala. What's your question, my friend?
All right, I have a couple. So the first one is, a lot of gators, they go through module 1 and module 2 and they kind of stop there, and Pace says DM 100 people and and keep DMing them, and they're all doing the same type of marketing. What type of marketing is currently working for you at the moment, and how are you funneling that in when it comes to meeting somebody face to face? Do you have a certain like way that you do it? You either create a lead magnet and then it goes to your Calendly and then you get on and meet face to face. Another thing is the downside to being a go-giver is you're a nice guy, right? People like you. You're a likable guy, but there's people there that are trying to just pick your brain. So how are you figuring out a way to quickly acknowledge that and, keep your precious time valuable?
Well, Jay, I think I should be asking you these exact same questions, but I appreciate you asking them to me, good sir. Um, to go with the first question, right? Like, what am I doing for outreach? It was the first question.
Mhm.
I mix it up, right? I don't believe that there's one source for all things. However, when I first got involved in transactional funding, I'll share this story with you that kind of leads to this, right? Um, I was talking to a gentleman who I regard as very successful in this space. And I said, man, how are you so successful? And he gave me this challenge. He said, Keola, I challenge you to ask the last deals that you lent on and ask them if they know that you do transactional funding. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? Of course they do. Like I lent on deals with them, right? Like I did private money lending deals for them. He goes, no, I call them up. I'll give you a day. Call me back. Jay, I called them up and 9 out of 10 people had no idea that I did transactional funding. No idea. I was blown. And to be honest with you, that number 10, that one that said, yeah, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I like totally know you do transactional funding. It was more like, well, I I guess I thought you did. Like I assumed you did. It wasn't even confident. Yes. And so with that story, he basically reiterates to me the fact that first and foremost, just start talking more about what you actually do.
Hmm.
Like really identify and let people know what you do. And if you haven't clarified that clearly and you haven't created a shortened elevator pitch that people can understand what you do, then it's clear as mud for everybody else.
Mm.
Right. And then, so with that, the challenge for me was, okay, let me go talk to people that I already know. Right. Let me go tell my warm contacts what I do. And that's where it started, Jay, for me. Do I do cold DMs? Do I do cold outreach? Yes, I do. But I started with making sure that everybody had already connected with, understood exactly what I do.
Love that.
And then the second question about time, man, I struggle with that today, Jay. I'll take calls from people. I'll set up Zooms with people. Like I will still do it because I don't believe I'm at any position where I'm too big for my own britches. Now, the path to get there changes where I do send people videos about like what I do, things that I have, right? I record a loom of basic questions that I've been asked. So they start there and then we move to the next step. So if they're, that's where I bring in automation as much as I can. Another thing with leads is I have started doing lead magnets, Jay. That's something brand new to me, where because I want to try and provide value and give things, I try to see what are the big things that in my business people want or need, and how do I just give it to them for free? How to create a checklist for EMD. Like how do I help people walk through my EMD process with a free checklist, right? So free checklist for EMD, free checklist for double closing, understanding seller carryback Morby method, stack deals. Here's a one-on-one, have this, take it, right? And then I create a lead magnet with follow-up emails that kind of just educate. Hey, you asked about EMD. Here's our EMD process. Hey, in the EMD process, here's some things you want to be aware of. Hey, here's some challenges in my face with title. Hey, here's how you do title vetting. So I just try to create a lead magnet process for them that it will continue to nurture that relationship and provide value along the way. And if they happen to want to do business with me in some future time, great. If not, they still get all this information, and hopefully, uh, we'll do business sometime.
Gil, I got two last questions for you.
Please.
One, if people are watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line, what's the best way for them to reach you? Is it
Yeah, the best way.
it's your MySpace page, right?
You know what? I did have a MySpace page. I was really successful back in the day. Yeah. It came with dial-up and AOL, but the best way to reach out to me, guys, is on Instagram. That's at Keola_Keala.
Of course, it's your first name, Keola, Keola _ your last name, Keala, Keola Keala. That is your Instagram. You're also on Facebook, right?
I am. Yep.
Although Instagram is your preferred way to reach you. Here's your
Preferred.
Facebook. And if you're watching on the call, right, if you're on the call or watching on YouTube, please send him a message. Please follow him on Instagram. Please reach out and connect with him. That's the best way to connect with Keola is going to be via his Instagram page. Last question for you. I'm always talking about the importance of networking, building relationships. We have many real estate education platforms out there, at least 50 to 100 that I'm aware of. And people are coming every single day, brand new investors, experienced investors, coming to a forum where they're now using social media because every real estate education group has a social media Facebook page for their community. In your opinion, as a successful investor, leader in the community of Pace Morby and the Gator community, how important is it for the investor today to use and leverage social media to be visible to, build their business?
Guys, it is vital, right? Social media is the modern day business card, right? When people want to do business with you, before they do anything, they're going to go search on social media,
Oh yeah.
right? And let's be honest, we all do that. We all social media stalk others. That's fine. Everybody does that. Just like you do it, they're doing it to you too. So if you haven't already started to create a social media platform or content for yourself, please go ahead and do that. Jump on JJ Zooms. He'll help walk you through all of it.
Thank you so much. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please like Keola's interview. Please like this video. In the comment section, please put your questions, your takeaways, what you found valuable, how I could provide you better content, a better product as far as interviews, people you may want to hear speak. Please give us some feedback. If you guys are on the call right now, do not go away. We're going to continue with some live networking, breakout rooms. Keola, thank you so much for coming on the call today. Great, great content and sharing your life and your story, and just the importance of everything that you've done and how you lead by example. Um, Again, if everybody out there in the world of social media, please follow Keola on his Instagram page. And again, that looks like this. Here we are, Keola_Keala Instagram. Please follow him. Please message him. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like this video. Keola, for everybody else, we'll see them out there in the world of virtual networking, right?
Yep. Mahalos, guys. Thanks so much.
See you guys. Thank you so much.